What's going on, Tar Heel Nation? Nathan and Alan here. We are your Hill brothers, and we have a Week 10 matchup against the Syracuse Orange on a Friday night. It's on Halloween night, Alan. We got a Halloween night game. We're going to be trick-or-treating and hoping to trick and treat our way to a victory this week. How you feeling?
Hopefully there's more treats than tricks.
Amen to that. But we have a scouting report for you guys. But this is the first time ever that we have a dual scouting report. We've got two awesome guests with us today. We have Zach Wolf of the Daily Orange and also Tim Wilcox, which is Syracuse on SI. Real looking forward to talking with both of them. So it's going to be a good time. Real looking forward to it. Make sure hit that like button, comment button, and get ready as we do the Syracuse scouting report with these two ghosts, these two ghosts. Halloween time, baby. I tell you, dude, gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Ghosts. We're doing interviews with spirits.
We're about to play blocks with the spirits, dude. Oh, it's gonna be a good time. Hope you guys are excited. Hope you guys are looking forward to it. Let's get into the scouting report. Man, we are honored to have Tim Wilcox with us today. This guy covers Syracuse in a multiple amount of ways. This guy wears a ton of hats over there. So let me make sure. I'm gonna get my pad up. I'm not. You know, this is how professional we are over here. This man is a recruiting reporter / intern for Syracuse 24/7 over there for the 24/7 network. He is also a football and basketball reporter for the Juice Online, which is Syracuse on SI, Sports Illustrated, and he is a senior staff writer of the Daily Orange. Tim, how are you doing this evening, my brother?
I am doing fantastic. Excited to be talking football with the two of you, and it's going to be an exciting game on Friday between UNC and Syracuse.
Did I get them all right? Because that's a ton of daggum hats you got over there.
Man, you got it all right. I'm impressed. You got it all right.
I'm just curious, how many tabs do you have open like across your computer when you're trying? Like, do you ever post a story to one, be like, "Oh man, that was supposed to go to the other place"? I guess like it's just like, what? Do you have a social life? I mean, if you're a senior in college, I mean, you got to be throwing down somewhere, right?
I am. I mean, it's a hectic life, but I love it. I'm a senior now, so having a lot of fun. Also keeping up with all the journalistic things and career aspirations that I have. But it's funny you ask. No one's really asked me how many tabs I have open. That's a great question. I do have 1 million tabs open, I will say.
Dude, yeah, I feel like I have a lot of tabs open, but I feel like he would quadruple me in an instant, just like that. But there is something a part of his life that I want to bring out here, because I did a little bit of research right here before we got into this thing, and I noticed something. Do you play baseball for Syracuse Club Baseball?
I do play baseball for Syracuse Club Baseball, yeah.
I just saw this a little bit ago. How long have you been doing that?
So it's a bit of a story, but I've only been on the team for about 6 to 7 weeks, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What position?
I'm an outfielder. I've played all 3 outfield positions so far this season. I believe we're currently 7-3 or 8-3 with 1 more series left this fall.
Dang, dude, that is pretty cool. So Alan is a big baseball guy, and we're getting ready for some college baseball. North Carolina's doing a little fall series right now, so we wanted to I wanted to double check on that. I saw that and I thought that was pretty daggum cool, man. So now that as a report, he also plays out there as well. So it's a good time. It's really good time, dude. But North Carolina comes to Syracuse. JMO Wireless Dome on Halloween night. It's perfect. It's these two team seasons are very spooky, to say the least. So it's just very fitting that they play together. What can North Carolina fans expect when Syracuse takes the field against them on Friday?
I think North Carolina fans should expect to see a Syracuse team that's really fighting for their life, in all honesty. I mean, this is a team that sort of got hit by a train when quarterback Steve Angeli went down earlier in the season against Clemson, and they've really been trying to find their identity, especially at the quarterback position. Ricky Collins has been out there. Freshman Luke Carney has been out there. So at this point, there's a lot of questions surrounding the quarterback play, rightfully so, from the fan base, from other journalists and myself. really questioning the quarterback play, because that's really where most teams find their success, is at that quarterback position, and that carries over into the rest of the team. So this Syracuse team is really fighting for their life. They haven't gotten consistent quarterback play since Steve Angeli's injury, and so this game will really be, a huge testament to where they are right now as the season comes down to the final month here.
So I want to talk to you to open this thing up about Fran Brown. This guy, I'm a Fran Brown fan, man. I'm telling you, ever since he's come in, I love his energy. I love his poise, the way he can just galvanize the troops, get the fan base seemingly is all wrapped around behind it. The recruiting trail seemingly is getting pretty good for you guys out there. I think I just saw today, maybe it was you that posted a 2027 offensive lineman commit. And here we go. I mean, the Fran Brown era starts 10-3 season, winning the Holiday Bowl, gets Clemson into the ACC championship. I love the famous line. Dude, what has Fran Brown brought to Syracuse that is just changing this entire program overnight?
Yeah, if I had to say in one word what Fran Brown has brought to this program, I'd say he brought swagger. He really did bring swagger.
Yes.
He dresses with swagger. He carries himself with swagger. And really, at the end of the day, he's authentic. That's what I hear a lot. What you're seeing is what you're getting from Fran. He's not, hiding anything. He is really upfront with his players, and I think he's the same with his coaching staff. And that's what has led, I think, to a lot of Syracuse's success with him at the head of the program. He's really just himself. He comes from a humble background, and I think he's a very likable guy from all the people that are surrounding him.
Yeah, Coach Robinson, he's a defensive line guy. What are a couple defensive linemen that UNC needs to know? Because if I read it correctly, Syracuse has 16 sacks on the year.
Right. Yeah, the pass rush has been largely a question mark for Syracuse this season. A few games ago, they did add a lot of sacks to that count you just mentioned, but relatively it's been very quiet for most of the season in that department. I think a name to watch is definitely Kevin Jobity. He's a guy who's been a part of Syracuse for a few years now. Believe he might be a senior, and he had a 3-sack game just a couple games ago. He did regress last week, as you probably would have expected, but he did have 3 sacks a couple weeks ago, and he's a guy that probably leads Syracuse right now in the sack department.
I want to talk to you, since you're a recruiting guy. You cover recruiting. They just brought in a recruit this past offseason at the quarterback position, and he got the start in the second half against Pitt last week to give them a spark, because when Angeli goes down, man, that completely derails everything that you guys are wanting to do, it seems, because since then the offense is kind of stymied a lot, and they're trying to find a spark a little bit. What is the thought with Carney? Is he ready? I heard that Fran's kind of come up, maybe he's not quite ready. Do they believe that he can potentially be a guy for them in the future?
I think Syracuse definitely believes in Luke Carney as a guy that can lead this program in the future. I think possibly what they're doing right now is maybe watching his eligibility, maybe not to have this year count against him, but who knows? Syracuse keeps their cards close to them about quarterbacks and about eligibility, certainly, as I would expect most programs do. And so Luke Carney, I believe he comes in with a lot of talent, and they've allowed him to get some playing time this year, but it seems to me that they're probably watching and limiting his playing time just to help him keep his eligibility for the future.
How many games has he appeared in already this year?
I want to say 2 or 3 games.
Okay, so yeah, he would get 4, and then plus 1 more would be a bowl. Okay, that makes sense then. Go ahead, Alan.
Keep it on the recruiting line. Coach Robinson has been talked about as an elite recruiter. How has his recruiting helped bolster the Syracuse defense, either through the portal or through the high school ranks?
Well, I think the thing about Coach Robinson is he has experience coaching in the state of Texas over at Texas A&M. And I think that does a lot for Syracuse in terms of recruiting, just having a coach that is familiar with the state of Texas. That's actually where Luke Carney is from. That's where freshman offensive lineman Byron Washington is from the state of Texas. Um, so I think Texas was largely an untapped state when it comes to Syracuse football recruiting. And, uh, the hiring of Elijah Robinson has maybe allowed for more recruiting to be taking place in Texas when it comes to Syracuse's overall recruiting strategy.
So we understand that you wear like 18 different hats when it comes to reporting and recruiting reporter and staff, writer and everything else. But I want to, you're a student of Syracuse. I want to tap into that for a second. I want to tap into fan Tim in there, the Syracuse fan that you are, brother. What is your favorite thing to do on game day?
Favorite thing to do on game day?
Yeah.
There's so much.
Is there like a tradition that you guys have or that you have specifically that you like to do?
Yeah, I think a unique thing for students, especially on game day, is you go in a specific student entrance to the stadium, to the dome, and what you get is a different color wristband each game that signifies you're allowed to sit in the student section. And I think a unique thing that I started doing, and I have to give a shout out to one of my past roommates, Connor Cluett, is he had this idea to start saving those game day wristbands for the student section. And what he would do is save those wristbands and then get a Sharpie. Usually these wristbands are made out of plastic, and you're able to, write maybe the final score of the game or a few words or a sentence about a standout player, maybe some stats from that game. And then he started saving all those wristbands. And I started doing the same thing about a year or so ago, just to keep those memories with me because I haven't counted every game that I've been to during my 4 years at Syracuse, but I've certainly been to probably around 40 to 50 games. And at this point, I have a number of wristbands, like probably 15, 20 wristbands. So looking back on those memories is a fun game day tradition that I have.
That's something
That's
to kind
cool.
of think about. I'm not gonna lie
That's cool.
because yeah, that is legit to keep. Because think about it, man. We've been to ever since we've been doing this channel, which has been about 2.25 years now. We've been to some games. We've been through, and thankfully, like we have vlogs to kind of go back and relive those moments a little bit. But something like that would be really cool. I have to think about that in the future, man. A little scrapbook or something, dude.
That's why I like paper tickets. If I'm like looking for tickets and somebody's like, I have paper tickets, or you just got to meet me such and such, or if I find them in time, they'll mail them to you. Even if they're like $10 or $20 more, I'll take the paper ticket. It's a memento, man.
100%.
That's pretty legit, man. That's 100%. So, tell the world where they can find you, man. Where they can find all of your work and all the different outlets that you have.
Yeah, I'd say my main outlet is Twitter/X. My username on that is at TimmyWilcox32. And then I'm on Instagram at Timmy_Wilcox. Also, you can find me on LinkedIn. Should be Tim Wilcox there. I professionally go mostly as Tim Wilcox, but I do understand that some of my handles might say Timmy Wilcox, but professionally I prefer Tim. And LinkedIn, YouTube, and I'd say those are the main four. But definitely, if you want to find me on one outlet, at Timmy Wilcox32 on Twitter is the main one.
I have never had somebody actually plug their LinkedIn on this. This dude is a professional. Anybody looking at this need a legit writer, you go get that guy.
Yeah,
100%, bro.
Tissue right here. Plug the LinkedIn. I don't even have a LinkedIn. Jeez.
I have one that I created back in college, and that's about the last time it got updated too. By God, I hear you, brother. You do your thing out there, Tim. We absolutely appreciate you coming out and hanging out with us, man. Looking forward to North Carolina and Syracuse on Friday night. We'll be doing a live watch party. And
do you got a score prediction? Do you have a score prediction?
Put me on the spot right here. I haven't thought of a score prediction, but I will say that Syracuse is going to come out on top in this one. They're going to be at home. It's Halloween. it's got to be tough to travel on Halloween, right? If you're UNC, like you probably have a lot of distractions in your mind, but
Oh, dude, anywhere,
Syracuse is
anytime.
staying home. So Syracuse is going to win. I will say it's going to be a lot of defense in this one. It's going to get ugly. It's going to be 24-20. Syracuse is going to be on top.
He's got a close game. I like it. That's.
Hey, man, I just
I'm in the
appreciate the fact
ballpark,
that he gave us 20 points.
dude. Yeah, that's the most that we've scored against the Power Four all year.
Okay, we don't
Boy,
score 20 points very often.
hey man, we're getting on up there, bro. We're getting on up there, man. Appreciate you, Tim. Thank you so much, man. And good luck to your baseball team out there, and also to all the different outlets that you're about, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great rest of the day.
And we are here with Zach Wolf of the Daily Orange. What's going on, man? Appreciate you joining us tonight.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on.
Dude, you've been covering. You're a student at Syracuse. You were telling me a little bit off air. You've been covering this team ever since you came onto campus. How did you get into doing this?
Yeah, so I mean, like I mentioned, obviously you're not covering football right away as a freshman as soon as you get on campus. So again, kind of worked my way up through various sports. Like I said, anything from like started out in volleyball, men's soccer, women's basketball, men's lacrosse. Obviously this year getting to cover the football team, very cool. But again, obviously since I'm very in touch with like Syracuse athletics, I've kind of watched this team the past 4 years. So obviously with Dino Babers, my first 2 years, and then with Fran Brown the past 2 years. So a little bit different atmosphere, I guess, around the team in terms of those two different eras. Two very different football coaches, and in terms of the style and sort of the hype around the program, especially nationally, I would say. But yeah, it's been fun.
That's awesome, dude. Well, this is a Syracuse team that looks a little bit different over the last 4 weeks than in the first 4. So I want to give you the chance to open this thing up. What can Carolina fans expect on Halloween night when the Syracuse team takes the field?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Syracuse started out 3-1. I was down in Death Valley for when they beat Clemson. Again, I don't want to say it was an anticlimactic game because it was arguably a top 5 win in like Syracuse program history, at least modern history. But in terms of that, Steve Angeli goes down with a torn Achilles, and you kind of knew right away it was a very serious injury. So since then, Ricky Collins has taken over. He started 4 games, and it really hasn't been pretty. Again, he was a transfer from LSU. He came in with like 7 career passes and never started a game before. But there was still like a decent amount of hype around him considering he was at LSU. He's a bit of a dual threat quarterback from just what I read before, I guess, watching him in person. But in terms of him as a starter, it's been pretty rough. Just watching him, he's a lot of the time, I would say, he locks onto his first read. And then if it's not there, he has a tough time getting to second and third read. And typically he'll just scramble away. And I think as you've seen the past couple of years with Kyle McCord last year and then Steve Angeli in the first 4 games, your quarterback is going to take you, your team is going to go as far as their quarterback takes them. And they've really struggled the past 4 games because the quarterback play has gotten really poor. They actually turned to Luke Carney to start the second half against Pittsburgh for 3 drives, who's their freshman backup. But even Fran Brown admitted after that game and in the coming weeks that he really isn't ready necessarily. They don't have he doesn't really know the full playbook, but they were looking for a spark against Pitt again because Ricky Collins was struggling. They went to him. Nothing really happened. So yeah, overall, the quarterback play has been subpar since Collins took over, and that really hasn't helped the defense either. The defense has some pieces. They're somewhat talented, but with the offense unable to really stay on the field, the defense has really struggled as well. And they just haven't played complimentary football the past month.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it sounds kind of like a North Carolina situation already, honestly. So you hit right where I want to go with this thing. Ricky Collins comes in after Angeli goes down. You guys were looking really, really good with him. I was wondering, I'm a big Fran Brown fan. I have talked about many times on this channel when we went to the ACC kickoff as well, at how I am very much excited to see what he can do with that Syracuse program. And when Angeli goes down in a game down there in Death Valley, you guys are handling business. I hated it. I really hated it for you guys. Ricky Collins comes in. He's the transfer, 6'2", 210. He's thrown for 957 yards, 6 touchdowns, but 8 interceptions, a 30.8 QBR, which is 132nd in the country, who's right down there with our quarterback, Gio Lopez, as well in the QBR range. What is it that's not working with Ricky? Is it just his play? Is the scheme not fit to maybe his abilities, his strengths? What is the issue there with Ricky?
I think it's just, I guess, I don't want to be demeaning to him, but again, like I said, he locks onto his first read a lot. He has arm talent. He certainly can. A lot of the success you've seen from him in terms of like a couple plays per game, it's the vertical passing game. Like to start the second half against Georgia Tech, Syracuse down 21, I'm pretty sure, and then Ricky Collins hits Jonte Cook down the sideline for like a 40-yard gain. And the next play, he hits Darryl Gill for a slant over the middle, and it's a touchdown. So there are like these flashes, but it's just the overall inconsistency with him. And like it could be like a little out route that's just mistimed. And I don't know if it's a timing thing with his receivers or it's just a mental thing. But I would say that Jeff Nixon, Syracuse offensive coordinator, is a very good offensive mind. You see what he did last year with Kyle McCord and with Angeli at the beginning of the year. So I really wouldn't say it's a scheme thing. I would definitely say it's an execution thing. And again, it's tough because Ricky Collins came in here with little experience, like I said. But again, at some point, you have to perform as a quarterback as well. And he's just not performing up to the standard.
With all the defensive personnel changes and the new scheme this season, what's been the identity of the defense so far this year?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is that they haven't really been able to rush the passer. I mean, that was a big thing. Fadil Diggs, who was on the team last year, obviously graduated. And if you looked at the depth chart ahead of the season, you kind of noticed that that was a weakness. I don't know the exact number, but I think the career sacks number, at least from edge guys, was around like 4 of returning guys that were on the roster. I might be wrong on that, but at least guys at Syracuse. So they have really struggled to have an identity. I really wouldn't say what their identity is because, again, with how the offense has struggled, they've been on the field so much and they're just not going to hold up. I will say, I'll point to a lot of the young guys. They're very young on defense. You'll see Antoine Delorier, who's the Mike linebacker. He's kind of hard to miss considering how jacked he is. I don't know if you've ever seen a picture of him, but he's a true freshman. He's sliding very nicely. He's definitely a piece for the future. And then Demetrius Samuel on the outside at corner, he's been very good. I mean, I was down in Atlanta against Tennessee, and they attacked him right away in that first quarter. I think it was in the second quarter he let up like a 75-yard touchdown to Chris Brazzell. But since then, teams really haven't gone after him much because he's very polished. Fran Brown talked about how he's honed in on the cornerback position at his press conference Monday. Obviously, he comes in as sort of a two-way player, but Fran talked about the fact that he really wanted to learn corner and get that down before he started taking snaps on offense. But I would say the biggest thing with Syracuse is their inability to rush the passer. They had a big day against Pitt with 7 sacks, and it's kind of like a miracle. It was like everyone was waiting for this to happen. So if they can rush the passer on Friday, I think that would be a big boost for Syracuse. But again, you don't know with this defensive line.
Well, something else I want to kind of hit on here, we've talked about with quarterback and Collins having and just seemingly just having issues there, getting the ball out, recognizing, reading defenses, and figuring out where his reads are. I want to talk to you about the rushing attack for you guys. You guys come in ranked 116th in the country of the rushing attack with 112.9 yards per game. Is that due to teams understanding the struggles with the QB and maybe they're stacking the box and stopping the run and trying to, just force you guys to throw the ball, or is there a weakness on the offensive line that teams are starting to exploit?
Yeah, obviously, I think it's an offensive line thing. Syracuse center Austin Collins was out against Georgia Tech. Again, offensive line, they kind of took a lot of chances in the transfer portal. It was clear that Fran wanted to bring a lot of size in from
Mhm.
power four guys on the offensive line. And I won't want to say it hasn't really necessarily worked out so far. I'm actually writing something about how kind of the rushing attack has struggled a little bit. But again, I would point to the fact they've been down big in a lot of these games, so it's hard to establish the rushing attack there.
Right.
But the main guys, Yasin Willis, he's a big physical back. Again, Fran Brown has talked about the fact that he's probably their best player on offense, and he wants him to get the ball more. He said that after the Tennessee game where he had 20 carries, and he hasn't had 20 carries since. So again, like I said, Syracuse offensive coordinator Jeff Nixon, very good play caller, and they certainly want to run the ball, especially with a struggling quarterback, but they just haven't necessarily been able to. I'll point to the Georgia Tech game again. They forced a turnover in the first drive, and Willis has a big run to get them down to the 1 yard line. And then they had a false start penalty, which pushed them back and don't end up scoring on the opening drive, which again would have been a big boost for them. Same thing kind of happened at SMU. They get the ball down to like the 3 and then get down to the 1, and they're just unable to push it in. So short yardage situations have definitely been a problem for them. Again,
Yeah.
that's probably more of an offensive line issue. Personally, again, I think Yasin Willis is definitely a very strong running back, but he just hasn't had the holes necessarily to run through. Situationally, they haven't necessarily been able to try and establish the run and like for them to protect a lead. But we'll see. I know North Carolina is a pretty decent rush defense, so we'll see how that goes on Friday. But again, Yasin Willis is definitely a guy to look out for Carolina fans if you're looking for a guy in the rushing attack.
And real quick, right before you go, Alan, North Carolina definitely had their best day, getting to the passer and everything this past weekend against Virginia. It's been wild to see. But I am curious to know, one of the guys you guys got in the transfer portal was a former offensive lineman for us, and Zach Rice. He was a big time recruit for us, and it ultimately never panned out here. I think he never even got to second string. So I'm curious to see, has he had any improvement there? I haven't been able to keep up with him much.
Yeah, I don't think he necessarily has made this or had. I think he's struggling with the same thing at Syracuse. Hasn't necessarily kind of broken through. I'd have to look at like the PFF stats, but
Right.
again, like I said, he was one of the guys that Fran brought in, and obviously with the portal, it can be a crapshoot sometimes. But he's one of the guys you see his pedigree as a recruit, but then you kind of look further in and see he didn't really play at North Carolina. So again, he's just one of those guys they brought in. But like I said, the offensive line has kind of been a struggle on the whole. Last season with Kyle McCord, he was getting the ball out of his hands so quickly that the offensive line wasn't really good, but McCord was masking a lot of those issues because it was just whether it was RPOs to LaQuint Allen, he was getting the ball out pretty quick, and you saw that with Angeli. And but yeah, offensive line definitely one of the weaker points on this team for Syracuse.
So, with Syracuse defense ranking in the bottom, near the bottom of the ACC standings, what has the fan base and the university made of them bringing in the outside consultant, Dr. Blitz, to kind of help? Is it just like a second set of eyes, or is it kind of like Coach Robinson needs some help?
I think it's been a lot of, and they've been very quiet about it. They haven't really necessarily Fran hasn't really been asked about it. I know Syracuse.com reported on it a little bit, but they haven't necessarily talked about it a lot. I would think it's just an extra set of eyes rather than Elijah Robinson necessarily needing so much help. But I think again, very young defense, sort of young, not necessarily young coaching staff, but I know he has a lot of experience in terms of having teams very good at the blitz. So I think again, it's just kind of another set of eyes rather than anything major, especially when it happens in the middle of the season. That's definitely an interesting aspect of it. But yeah, we haven't really got much about him and what his actual role is. I don't know. I think I'm pretty sure he traveled the team to Georgia Tech. But again, not a ton of info out on him about just kind of what he's brought to the table, but definitely an interesting thing, interesting development, I would say.
Well, Syracuse seems like they're an interesting team, and yeah, I think ultimately with Angeli on this team looks a lot different than what we're looking at currently right now. And we saw that through 4 games. They went out there and Tennessee got a lead on them, but they showed a lot of promise against Tennessee. The game against Clemson, they look a lot better there, and it's just unfortunate that the injury bug hits when it does. But I'm looking forward to seeing this game. We're going to do a live watch party during that game on Friday night, on Halloween night. But since you are a Syracuse student, you're a senior there, so you've been there for a little while. Let us in on some of the game day traditions that you can find on the Syracuse. There's already a smile on your face. I love this. Tell me what you got.
Yeah, I mean, as a student, I would say like our big tailgating place, it's called Castle Court. We just call it Castle. It's kind of like where a bunch of apartments are, and there's this like big parking lot in the middle. So they clear out all the cars, and like students gather there. It's actually like right up the block from my apartment. So that's like a big place where people go. And yeah, obviously we have the like bars in terms of just different bars on campus that people will go to before the game, after the game. And then this place called Varsity Pizza is actually a tradition that the DO wrote about, our culture section wrote about last week. Like if Syracuse wins, the marching band like goes into this place, Varsity Pizza. It's kind of right on Marshall Street, which is the main street for things at Syracuse. They go in and they have like banners of Syracuse's opponents up on the top like shelf or whatever. So if they beat a team, they like flip it over the top, and then like the band plays inside the restaurant. So that's like one of the traditions. I was trying to think what else, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Nothing like too insane, but that's one of the things that kind of pops to my head there.
Well, dude, we are a couple of band guys, so I'm totally down for some varsity pizza and some band. That's what I'm talking about right there. I think Alan, throughout this series and that we've done with the scouting report, this is now the second year that we've done it. We've got to go and start seeing some of this stuff for ourselves. I think some of these traditions that we hear about all the time, I think it's about time we go see them for ourselves, man. Like I'm gonna go get some varsity. Syracuse, New York, it's pizza. I mean, come on now, it's got to be good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's kind of like a historic place in Syracuse. It's been around, I don't want to know, maybe like 60 years, something like that. It's been, I think the university now owns it, but again, it's kind of like not necessarily like the most amazing pizza in the world, but it's kind of like just a place you have to go to if you're in Syracuse, because if you know about Syracuse, I think people know about Varsity Pizza. It's just like a cool little spot that people like to go to.
I'm down for that kind of thing, man. Zach, appreciate you coming on here with us, man. Tell us where we can find you and all the work that you do over there at the Daily Orange.
Yes, you can find me, obviously, the Daily Orange website, just thedailyorange.com. You can find my work on my social media accounts. My X is at Zach Wolf 22, so ZAKWOLF 22. And in terms of just my stuff, again, like I said, on the Daily Orange website, if you just go to the sports section, go to the football section, you'll probably find one of my articles. And then the DO social media handles, just the Daily Orange on Instagram, the Daily Orange on Twitter, and then at DO Sports for our sports content as well on Twitter as well. But yeah, again, appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely, dude. Thank you so much for being here with us. And we're looking forward to this Friday at Syracuse, man. Thank you so much, brother.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yep.
Well, we just got a ton of information from Zach and Tim, but I didn't know this at the very beginning of this scouting report, but by God, they both work at the Daily Orange together, and also Tim working for SI and 247 and all this, that, and the other stuff. We had a great time over here at the scouting report. Alan, what'd you think?
Man, that was a good one. A lot of different perspective. First time ever been able to talk to like two different official writers for one university.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Hill Bros out here doing their thing on the scouting report. Know what I'm saying?
Hey, I had to give
Holding it
credit to
down.
Alan on. I got to give Alan his credit on this one. So we reached out to multiple different ones. Those two guys responded back to us. There's no way we could leave any one of them out because we want to push their platform and what they're doing over there, because those guys are doing some really good work. So be sure and go check out Zach Wolf with the Daily Orange, and also Tim Wilcox with the Daily Orange, Syracuse on SI, which is the Juiced Online, and also Syracuse 24/7. Those guys do some great work. All that stuff's going to be down in the description below. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. And as always,
go Heels.